Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevett, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Hi, welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway. I'm Jason, and we're excited today. We got a great guest, don't we, Scott?
Heck yeah, we're excited.
Yes, we got Dawn Everhart. Dawn, how are you?
I am doing well. It's a beautiful day here in the Central Valley.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Yes. Okay, Dawn, so let's get started right away. Who are you and what do you do?
So my day job is I'm a registered nurse. I work in hospice, and I've been doing that about 7 years. And I came into nursing later in life. I did not graduate till I was 55 years old. And oddly, there were 2 of us in my class who were 55 when we graduated. Before that, I worked in manufacturing, quality control, but more importantly to me, well, as important as hospice is, I have been a holistic healer for over 30 years. And what that means is I've worked in learning Reiki, which is an energy healing modality, healing touch, and core shamanism and shamanic healing. So that's what I've been doing for a little over 30 years.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're glad to have you here. So that's like opposite ends of the polar, working in the hospital and working with holistic healing. So how's that for you?
It works very well. It was my intention when I went into nursing to integrate those 2 parts of my life, and they are coming together slowly, but really well. And in nursing, we do have the foundation of looking at people from a holistic viewpoint. But of course, we're most interested most of the time in the physical, right? We're giving medications, we're giving x-rays, doing procedures and that kind of thing. With holistic healing, of course, our focus is the spiritual and the emotional and psychological at times. So it works well. It's coming together. Little by little, even in our nursing care plans, in our medical electronic medical record, we have places where we can order Reiki, music therapy, massage, those kind of things. So the medical world is very aware of these different integrative healing modalities.
So if I understand you right, then you're not only working with your hospice clients, you're working with your hospice clients psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually as well, correct?
So I do. As a hospice nurse, that is exactly what we do. And one reason I love hospice so much is because we do have a little bit more time to sit with our patients, hold space for their family, because obviously nobody wants to go into hospice. You know, that could be maybe the worst day of your life is, okay, now we're going to make this step into the world of hospice. To some people, it feels like they're giving up, but our intention with the work we do is to hold space for a greater and deeper experience of life, even though there may be only weeks, months, under a year left for someone. So for myself right now, what I'm able to do is keep myself grounded, make sure I'm clear of all my baggage when I go in and meet with someone, and be able to really have good active listening, good holding space for that family. And what I mostly do is actually work with the families. Sometimes the patient is too weak to, participate a lot, but certainly their families need education and need an open heart. They need some open ears to be there with them.
So do you help them transform and come to an acceptance of what's going on?
Yes. So there's right now my function is as an admission nurse, and I go in and we sign the various paperwork, but my job is to orient them as to what's going to happen next. And when we come on board with hospice, we come on board with a team. And after I'm done with my part and educating as much as I can, I hand them off to the RN case manager. And with them is also a medical social worker and a chaplain, non-denominational chaplain. And then that RN case manager will be seeing that person every week or maybe even twice a week, depending on, what their needs are. So I'm the one who gets them started on that journey and then hands them off to the team. But I do make other visits sometimes too.
Well, we've had quite a few different people here with Reiki and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Never had the shamanism thing. So that's
Mm-hmm.
how is this shamanism thing? What's that all about? And how do you introduce us to these people when they're getting ready to go to the next, I guess, to the next step?
So I have worked with people with my shamanic practice in their passing. Right now, since I'm an RN and I'm under the guidance and laws of our state and everything, I just use the shamanism on clearing myself, keeping myself grounded, but I'm able to come into a meeting with someone who's going through that we call it going through transitioning, and be able to be good and grounded and clear-headed for them. So I practice what's called core shamanism, and that was a term coined, I think, back in the late 60s, early 70s by an anthropologist named Michael Harner. And he wrote a book called The Way of the Shaman. And he had these experiences in South America with shamanic practices, the medicine man, if you will, or woman of indigenous tribes in South America. And what he found in his study is there is a similarity if you go to the indigenous people in Africa, or the indigenous people of Finland, or the Aborigines down in Australia. There is a core similarity to all those practices. And basically what that is the shaman or the healer, whatever the tribe calls them, goes into a deep state of meditation, and they journey, we call it journeying, to another realm. And in that realm are spirit guides and ancestors, angels. It kind of depends who you are. Everybody is different. And you glean information for healing and well-being, and you bring that back for either yourself or for a client, if you're working with a client. So that's the type of shamanism. It's supposed to be eclectic and not exactly connected to any one practice like Native American or any of that. So I've never studied Native American indigenous healing. So we aren't connected to those things. And it's just kind of a way to really help yourself through your life and working through issues, challenges, that kind of thing. But it also can be used for helping others.
Well, Dawn, that sounds like a lot like woo-woo for the medical field. So my question is that you ever get some slack from your colleagues saying, whoa, where are we going with all of this?
Really good question. I used to work in manufacturing, I mentioned, and I was always the person at our plating shop in Denver who, if you came into my office, I do a little healing touch energy work on you. But I was also the keeper of the aspirin or Tylenol, whatever, in those days. And I remember one of my fellow colleagues coming in to get aspirin, and I said, well, I could just pick it up and shake it around your head and say something. And they said, I'll just take the aspirin, Dawn. So it's okay. It's called woo-woo and voodoo. I've been called witchy stuff, whatever. And that is okay. It's all in good fun. And it's about just learning things that have been around for thousands and thousands of years and bringing them into the 21st century. So my colleagues now at the hospice where I work are amazing. They are very open to Reiki and those kind of things. I'm hoping they've said that we can do some energy work on our staff, which greatly need it. You know, they're out there with our patients day in and day out, and they need a little stress relief too. So I'm looking forward to planning that, having some of my colleagues who do Reiki and demonstrating that for our doctors and our nurses and supervisors.
So I noticed you said some of your staff needs it. So are you reading their R's or something like that? Where are you getting it from?
Good question. You know, just anybody could. I don't have to read their aura. I can feel energy fields, but I can't see them, and that's just, you know, everybody's different. So what I notice with those of us in hospice, you know, there is a amount of stress you take, and I think anybody, you know, you're working in an office, whatever, a corporate office, and you know when your teammates, your colleagues are stressed, you know, it doesn't take a psychic or somebody to know that. And so that's something I wanted to offer those people that I work with, because I do know we're in a high stress situation. To be honest, I worked in a hospital many years ago. I was a unit clerk, like a secretary. And my first day at work, I walked in and I said, well, these people just need a hug, not the patients and the family, the hug. They just, the families and our staff members needed somebody just to go and, you know, talk to somebody, let it off, you know, hug them. And so I am hoping one of my little plans is to offer those kind of things to our area hospitals, like one day a month or something, because they're in immensely stressful situations as well in the hospital environment.
So you're doing this work with the people in the hospital that you work with too. So let me ask you, are they receptive? Are they receptive to you, and are you getting paid?
A good question. Right now, I'm not getting paid for that kind of work. I do it on a volunteer basis because it's very much my passion. And I do get paid for being a hospice nurse, and I am so blessed to have a job that is fulfilling and where I get to help people, but that I do get a paycheck for. For my Reiki and shamanic work, unless I'm teaching a class, which I get paid for that, because I have to make workbooks and, you know, all certificates, all those kind of things. So right now I'm doing that on a volunteer basis and wanting to work with the folks at the hospitals on a volunteer basis. And that's okay, because I have a day job and I have my other work that is the work of my heart.
Well, we appreciate the service, but we do think you deserve reward. So we'll throw that out there. That's
okay.
That said, so this happened. You're a healer. You called yourself. So when did you have that first aha moment? Like, wow, I can really help people and heal. What's that all about? And where did that come into play?
So thank you for asking. probably 32, 33 years ago, I moved to Denver, Colorado from Fresno, and found an amazing healer named Mary Beth Griffin. And Mary Beth was my massage therapist. And I had a great job in those days too. And Mary Beth and I was able to go to her once a week for a massage, which really helped my mental state, my emotional state, my physical state. And one day I walked into Mary Beth's treatment room and she said, "Guess what, Dawn? We're going to be shamans." And I said, she sounded so excited. And I said, "God, that's great. What's a shaman?" And so she said, "Well, it's like the medicine man, you've seen in movies." And Mary Beth had been doing some studying into ways to help trauma victims, clients. And she came across the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, which is in Marin, California. And the idea of core shamanism and all that kind of thing, and then put forth this idea of that shamanic journey, that deep meditative state, going into the other realm, the spirit realm, and coming back with information that can help your life, your well-being, your healing, and do that for others. So within just a couple of months, I connected with the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. In those days, their teacher, head of education, was Sandra Ingerman, a master's in counseling. And Sandra was going to come to Boulder and do a workshop. So I signed up for that workshop and immediately, almost miraculously, connected with a group of core shamanic practitioners in Denver who had a weekly drum circle. And so we use drumming to get into that deep meditative state. It's just monotonous, boom, 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 boom. There's nothing real musical about it. And I started going to shamanic drum circle every week for about 9 years. So, and learned lots from my colleagues, lots about healing. And within probably a year of that experience, my guidance, my spirit guide said, "I think it's time for you to start teaching." And all these opportunities just kind of came out of nowhere. It feels like. And so I taught Walking the Path of the Shaman, which is the intro class to you learn how to shamanic journey, at the Colorado Free University. And Colorado Free University is kind of like the adult school. There's all kinds of computer classes and all kinds of fun classes too. So that's kind of where all this started. And within a few years, I attended a regional drum circle. So there was a circle like ours in Boulder, Colorado, and met my husband, Ross Dawson, and he too is a shamanic practitioner and healer.
Nice. So together you're a power team, huh?
Yes.
Have you worked together with him and helped other people heal?
Yes.
And what,
So we've been called out to, there were times in Denver, I recall a family, the husband had committed suicide in the home in a back bedroom. And of course, it'd been a few months, the man's wife was distraught, still grieving, his stepchildren, and they felt like they just needed a little bit more help and maybe something a little different than Christianity and spiritual help of that nature is important, but they were just kind of feeling like they needed something else. So what Ross and I did in that case, we met with the family in the home and we're able to, so what we do is we try not to have preconceived notions or let our ego get involved. And we did a journey for the family and brought back a little ceremony we did and kind of did a healing energy work and drumming. Crystals, of course, are always part of woo-woo stuff. And we're able to do that and allow that person's spirit who had committed suicide to move on. and importantly, to allow the family to grieve and to let their lives move on. So that's kind of an example of some of the things that we do.
Wonderful. So, with over 30 years of experience, with
Mhm.
all this work that you've done, this holistic healing work, you've had
Mhm.
some wonderful mentors along the way. Who are they
Mhm.
about? Let's talk about some of those mentors that you got stuff from.
Okay. So Michael Harner is the gentleman who created the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. Unfortunately, I did not get to meet him before he passed. So my teacher is Sandra Egerman. Sandra lives down in Santa Fe. She is the author of and of several books. One of them is called Soul Retrieval, and another is Welcome Home. And so soul retrieval is the idea that if you are in a traumatic situation, and it can be a divorce, it could be like a psychological thing, a car wreck, a surgery, an illness, that perhaps a little piece of you wants to not come home to your soul, that you may lose a little piece of you and a little piece of your soul. And people will describe this after they've gone through a trauma of feeling like they are outside of themselves, or they're watching themselves like they're in a movie, or they'll say, I'm just not all here today. We've all had people say that. Well, in our shamanic practice, we would say you're probably suffering from soul loss. So the book by Sandra Ingerman was a lovely introduction into how do you allow a shaman or shamanic healer to come in and go retrieve your soul parts for you, bring them back to you so you can continue to heal and heal whole. So Sandra Ingerman has been one of my great teachers. I've taken other workshops from her over the years. Another teacher of mine was Mary Beth Griffin. Mary Beth was my massage therapist, but also an amazing energy healer. And Mary Beth has taken her crystal and rock healing to a whole nother level. She lives outside of Pueblo in Colorado now. And she does the quartzite gem and mineral show that they have out there in the desert. Every year she has a booth. She does crystal and gem, talking to the crystals and gems and connecting with them and connecting them with people who come by her booth. And so she has been a great person for me to learn under. And I have to say, my husband, Ross Dawson, was a shamanic practitioner 9-10 years before I was. And his teacher, Terry Keepers, who is now passed, was a wonderful teacher as well for him. And then via Ross, I have gained a lot of information and guidance and wisdom from Terry through Ross. So it has been an amazing journey. Lots of books I've read and not got to connect, in person with people. A gentleman named Hank Wesselman. We lost Hank during COVID, unfortunately. So, but these books they've written, little workshops they offer online, those kind of things, every little piece has been part of my gaining wisdom in myself. But I have to say, most of my teachers are not human. So that sounds really weird to say it. But they are guides that I have worked with now for years. Some are there present when I'm doing specific healing work like soul retrieval. Some are there for if people have undergone the trauma of child abuse. So I have a kind of a set of teachers that work with folks in that. And I do want to say here that this does not replace conventional psychotherapy or counseling. I've had a myriad amazing counselors over my lifetime. But I see this very much shamanic work, Reiki, holistic healing, working in conjunction with those forms of healing.
Wow. So quite a journey there. So I noticed you said that your husband was one of your mentors.
Mhm.
Does he have you on the shamanic spell, or do you have him under the shamanic spell?
I don't know which. So, it is really neat when you can when you can share your spirituality with your partner, with your husband, your soulmate. And I meet so many, and I have to say, at my classes are mostly women most of the time. We'll have a couple of guys show up. I think women are kind of just going through their opening up process, but they'll say, "Gosh, I wish my husband would listen," but to this, because unfortunately, a lot of guys are kind of shut off spiritually, and you're a more open guy, Jason. You're open to what the world has to offer, but that is at this point kind of unique, to be open to other things that are going on. And when I talk about a spirit guide or a spirit realm or something, so there are a couple of men's groups that have just started in the Fresno Clovis area. And I am so happy to see that there's some young guys taking the lead and coming together in healing and energy work and holding space for each other to be open and maybe a little bit more vulnerable.
Nice. Scott,
Mhm.
come on, Scott, bring one of your questions.
Well, I love the way that you and Ross, share a passion like that together. And it sounds like you've already had the intuition of teaching. Have you guys thought about putting on seminars and things and bringing your strengths together?
Oh, we have, and thank you for asking. We have wanted to. I do little class. Well, it's like a 4-hour class where you learn to journey. Sometimes Ross will drop in and help me with those. When we were in Denver, he was available to help more at that point. But we have thought about doing something bigger on a bigger scale here, and just kind of finding the time and energy and the uh, I know when things are supposed to happen, they happen. The right resources come together, the right venue, all those kind of things. So thank you for asking, but he has participated in a lot of that with me. And we have thought about doing a grander scale. We do a program called Healing Drum Circle. So you don't have to know how to journey. You don't have to know how to drum. And here a few months ago, here in Fresno, the holistic health program that's part of behavioral health of Fresno County hosted us. And I think we had 45 people, and
Wow.
we did drumming. They have a nice, down on Kings Canyon, they have a nice big kind of multi-purpose room. And Ross and I together have 53 drums. So we brought our drums and people drummed together. We did kind of a guided journey, guided meditation. And then we all did, several of my friends who were healers of various sorts came together and went around, and just people they felt they were led to, they would drum over them or just, kind of send some Reiki to them. So we have done some of those bigger programs where we have 45, one women's circle, we did 50 women and drumming and that kind of thing. So we have had some bigger circles, and what's nice is it can be your first time you ever picked up a drum or even heard the word shaman or any of that. Just kind of takes a little open mind and an open heart.
Nice.
Mhm.
Wonderful. So listen, how do our
Mhm.
people get a hold of you? What if they want to get some work done or stuff done? How do they get a hold of you, and how will we reach you?
So thank you for asking. I'm working on, and my amazing friend Chad is working on my website as we speak. But until then, so I can be found on Facebook, and it's Dawn Everhart, and I have a public Facebook page. I believe it's under Facebook. The Dawn of Time is actually what the little, whatever it is, the little info they put up there. Also, Walking Path of the Shaman has a Facebook page. And then on Instagram, I'm Dawn _ Everhart _ RN. And so I'm on Instagram, and then I have a meetup that I'm trying to kind of relaunch after a time away, called the Holistic Healing Community Meetup. And on that, different folks can post their groups. I have a women's circle I put on every week, and a red tent I host every 3 months. So those are on there as well. But going to my Dawn Everhart on Facebook is probably the easiest, and then kind of work out from there. Also, I go ahead and use my home number as a place to text, and my home number is 559-341-7452. And if I'm working, I can't get back to you right away, but I will. So thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Scott, anything else you want to throw out here?
Well, Dawn, we really appreciate you coming out here and spending some of your time with us.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm so honored that Jason asked me to be a part of this. I am not hugely experienced at podcasts. Of course, that's something I wanted Ross and I to launch together, called Shaman Stories, about amazing, miraculous things that have happened to us over the years in our shamanic practice. So I have to learn to be a little bit more technical to do that. But thank you both for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dawn. Is there anything else you
Thank
want
you.
to add?
No, I think that's good. I have talking about women's circle and all that is a whole other program.
Well, we do have one more question for you, the big question. Here, what's your words of wisdom for our viewers?
Oh, good. The most important thing for you to learn is to access your inner guidance system, because all the answers are there.
Nice. Scott, anything else?
Nope,
Oh,
I think
thank you.
that's it for today.
Okay, I think we're all
Great.
So then with that, we want to thank our viewers here. Thanks, guys, for attending the show.
Thank you.
We're grateful to have you, Dawn, and go down your magical psyche highway. And for the viewers, if you like this, give us a thumbs up. If you think we're assholes, just give us the thumbs down. We don't care. We're just glad you're here. Please follow us, share us with your friends, and we hope to see you next week. Thanks for coming.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.